All right, now it's time for In the Mix with Politics, brought to you by politics.topic.com. We're not on the right side, we're not on the left side, we're on your side. Your news and information for this week with your host, David Mark, Editor-in-Chief of Politics, and me, Will Roberts. I'm just a humorist tagging along to put my spin on things. By the way, our disclaimer. None of the humor necessarily reflects the views of my friends at politics.topic.com. All right, David, what's the scoop?
We have had so much going on this week, but the big overarching news has been the NSA surveillance methods. This notion that the National Security Agency is, what critics say, is spying on American citizens using all kinds of data collection. It's highly controversial and contentious, and we're going to hear a lot more about it going forward.
Good. All right. Well, here's what we're going to do. Of course, I've picked out some of the top things on politics.topics.com. Again, that's politix.topics.com. And this is what I saw on the homepage. Here's one. It says, Congressman, by the way, the congressman's name is Trent Franks. Congressman, rate of pregnancy from rape is very low. Now, I have to tell you, David, I used to live in Las Vegas, so this whole idea about telling women what they can do and what they can't do with their body, well, it's very familiar to us in Las Vegas. We call those pimps. What do you think?
Well, I wouldn't quite liken this congressman to that line of work, but this is highly controversial. This is one of the most anti-abortion congressmen out there. This is a guy, when he was in the Arizona State Legislature, he used to wear a little necklace of a fetus, or you put on his tie clip as well, because you're so anti-abortion. And he said in a Judiciary Committee meeting that was discussing legislation to essentially ban abortion after the first 20 weeks of pregnancy, the rate of pregnancy from rape is, quote, very low. That's kind of channeling something that was said by Todd Akin, an infamous Senate candidate from Missouri. It's not likely to help Republicans win over female voters.
Right, and this is the one also that I think that said that you have parts of your body that can help refuse that. I'm not sure if that was Todd Akin or not, but someone's saying crazy stuff like that.
You get all kinds up there on Capitol Hill.
Right. Okay, next story, of course. NSA director quoted to say, "We're committed to your privacy." Now, I think that this is a pretty simple one. I think the government should tell the American people that this whole NSA thing that they're doing is really just a reality TV show. See, that seems to get Americans to allow cameras everywhere, willingly. Not really fortunately sometimes. What do you think?
Well, you make an excellent point. I'm not a fan of the National Security Agency or any government body being able to just spy on people and have all that information. But people put out an awful lot willingly. And I think the biggest concern, mistake that people have made over the years, is to think that they're getting something for free. Gmail is free in theory. Facebook doesn't cost any money. But as you learn when you're grown up, there's no such thing as a free lunch. And so, sure, you're not shelling out a monthly fee, but you're giving out all kinds of other information. So I think people are finally realizing that you don't get anything for free in this life, and everything has strings attached, so you better be awfully careful what information you put out there.
Absolutely, I believe so. And by the way, we're being recorded for quality control. All right, the next story is, it's a poll that was done, and it says more people like George W. Bush than dislike him. And I think it should be rephrased, and maybe you want to consider this. It should be more people like George W. Bush, now that he's nowhere near the White House, than dislike him. What do you think?
Yeah, the big case of absence makes the heart grow fonder, and the fact that he's been so out of sight for so long. He reemerged recently with the opening of his presidential library. But other than that, the guy's been awfully quiet. But agree or disagree with him, like him or not, you got to give him credit that he has not stepped on President Obama's spotlight. He stayed away. And I think, if anything, people realize that the presidents have tough decisions to make, and I think most of them look better in hindsight somewhat. I still think this may be his high water mark for his post-presidency, and he's not going to be remembered all that fondly going forward.
Yeah, this is definitely a time to release a book. Okay. All right, so the next story is Senator delivers floor speech in Spanish. Oh, by the way, folks, don't worry, though. If you want to get the edited and translated version, please contact your local NSA. What do you think?
Indeed. This was a case of a senator, for the first time, we believe, in Senate history giving an entire speech in another language. It was Senator Tim Kaine. He's a freshman Democrat from Virginia. He was talking about the immigration bill. He's not a guy with a Hispanic surname or anything. He happened to be a teacher down in Honduras several years ago, a few decades ago. He speaks fluent Spanish, and for the most part, the speech got pretty strong reviews.
Yeah, well, of course it should. I mean, actually, quite honestly, you'd be appealing to more people, because I'm sure that all of the folks that didn't understand Spanish would probably be looking to see what it said, and of course, then you're appealing to someone that does speak Spanish. All right, well, that's it. David Mark, editor-in-chief of Politics. That's politics.topics.com. POLTIX.TOPIX.com. We'll see you next week. I'm Will Roberts. I'm just a humorist trying to give my spin on things. See you soon.
All the way from the West Coast, it's humorist Will Roberts and his weekly telegram. The highlights and lowlights of all that's happening in and around the world. All right, Will, what's the scoop?
All right, Will Roberts Weekly Telegram, willsays.com. Welcome to the show this week, folks. And by the way, it's W-I-L-L, not one L, the common way. WILLSAYS.com or Twitter, and that's Will Roberts USA. I don't get enough people talking to me on Twitter. I'm convinced that maybe it's, I don't know, maybe being tracked or something. Maybe people are just concerned in general that everywhere they go now, NSA, you know what I say, NSA, nobody's safe anymore. Anyway, that's going to be the show this week, but welcome to Will Roberts Weekly Telegram. This week is, I promise you, to be a very interesting show, and of course you can go to willsays.com to be able to get a copy of the show, or if not, contact your local and state NSA. They might have a copy of it. It might sound different than I'm doing, but they may edit it as they feel they need to. Oh, wow, what a day, what a week, what a month. It's all about the fact that folks are concerned about their privacy, what's going on, what we show, what we do, where they've got the cameras, the audios. So I just have to say that I now have added on my syndication list of all the 15 or 17 radio stations around the world. I added on NSA. Why not? Isn't it fair? Well, this week I've got on the show a good friend of mine. And by the way, he's such a good friend that I've convinced him that he's going to do a new segment. He doesn't know this yet. He's going to do a new segment on the show that I used to do called Hug a Conservative. Actually, I used to call it I Know a Conservative, but I've added a little left and a little to the right, and I'm combining them called Hug a Conservative because he is a conservative, but he's also a great guy, which I've put in the same sentence. I love that part. Brian T Shirley. That's right, Brian T. Shirley, comedian, philosopher. You can go to his site when we get into this and check him out while we're doing this. Brian T. Shirley.webs.com. I'm hoping to kind of have a fundraiser so we can just get him BrianTShirley.com. Brian, welcome to the show, brother.
Thank you. And yes, any fundraising you do will help me in many ways besides the website. So,
absolutely.
I appreciate it.
Well, not a problem. And you know what? I'm actually excited to have you in the show now. You did kind of hear my intro. Are you good with the fact that I need to add a segment in? Because I've always said that I like to cover all spectrums of politics and social issues, and I really can't do that if I'm just a lefty or just a righty or even in between. I need folks to knock me around a little bit. I'm not the expert. I'm just the one that's going to listen, being the common man, human, and I'm going to try to decipher what the heck is going on. Are you okay with doing a segment called Hug a Conservative?
Yes, I'll put on my conservative hat for that. Yeah.
I know, and listen, I know the good thing about you, and folks, I want you to understand this, is that I don't, I guess I can invite people on, like the guy that was on that politics show in the UK. I don't know if you've seen this, but just check out Politics UK and Ranting and Raver that screamed that, democracy is gone. I can have those people on, and I would love to. But you know what? I like to have people who are civil. I like that. Yeah, civil. Anyway, and so Brian is decided, because we ranter, that's banter and rant. I just made up a word. We banter back and forth all the time. And so here we are this week, Brian. I'm introducing you to my radio audience, but also wanted to see what you think about the NSA stuff. Go!
Yes. The NSA, the nosy snooping administration, as I like to call it, overreaching. And I said that twice on purpose.
You did.
It's not good enough to say over once. I don't know if I would call the whistleblower a patriot. I think he's kind of self-serving. We'll find out more as this thing goes. But it's almost one of those things that, one of your enemies killed another one of your enemies or something. You know what I'm saying? It's like, kind of glad that he did it. I think it's overreaching, as I said. Privacy would be the first thing that I think of, and I thought of when this came out.
Well, wait a second now. I think I remember this back in World War II. Wasn't there, by the way. Loose lips sink ships. So I say maybe that, and this is where we're going to have fun today, whistleblowers may just be blowing it on us, and maybe we're not making ourselves safe because there's a reason why they call it secret programs. But here's what I want to pose to you, Brian, because I've read your article. By the way, if you go to willsays.com, you can see Brian has a weekly article on our show. Also, international.to. Want to thank them for being our, brought to you by international.to. It's an international news magazine that provides a lot of great stuff for us, and one is the exposure to the world. But you're in your article. I like the title. Totally love the title and the play on words. But let me throw this at you. I just thought about this when we were talking on the phone earlier. You said, I don't know about the whole video thing because I want to get Brian on video as well. We're going to do that new thing that they're doing called video. And he says, because I want people to see this or that. And it just came to my mind. Let me see if I'm right. Americans are okay with reality TV where we go into your, under your sheets, in your bed, under your bed, in your pockets, in your wallets. We can have you do a program that Brian will expose maybe if your wife, your brother, your mother, your sister, your whatever, is not being faithful to you and they don't know it. But you have a problem with the government finding out whether or not we're going to be safe, right?
Yeah, and I don't see that there's any conflict there. To be honest with you, I think they're totally different. You're talking about public viewing of private stuff for the public consumption. This is the government secretly getting our information, and as I said in that article, that's the most powerful thing in the world.
Yeah,
more powerful than money or anything else is information, because if you control the information, you can control everything else.
No, I agree with you.
I stand there.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you, but I don't know if I think that bird's of a different feather because, if the person is doing like I Caught You reality TV and you're setting up your whatever, mother, brother, sister, dog to see whether or not they're messing around with you, they don't know it's happening. And one, they're being exposed on national television. And number two, again, it just seems like voyeur, but it just seems like we're kind of in that society anyway. I just don't know if I notice a difference other than the fact that one may save your marriage and the other one may save a whole lot more people. I'm not sure I understand the difference. Help me.
Okay, I'll explain it. That one's pretty easy.
Okay.
There's a big difference between losing your marriage over secrets that you keep that are actually something that you promised that person, maybe not in a girlfriend-boyfriend relationship,
sure,
but you understand the wedding vows.
Right.
The other thing is, so you lose your marriage or your relationship is harmed, let's say, because of the exposing of these secrets. Well, that's one hand. The other hand is the government, knowing your private stuff, can affect your freedom, personal freedom, and that if we take it steps further, which if you don't stop government stuff like this, it always goes further. History has shown us that. If anybody's read a history book, you can see what I'm saying right now, that if you take it that step further, not only is your freedom compromised, but perhaps your life as well.
Well,
and the freedoms of everyone else.
Okay.
That's what
yeah, I understand. All right, but here's a part that I have a problem with on what you're saying is that when was the last time you or anybody else there in the listener audience has found or gone to the news and seen a story about some poor sap that was spied on by the government that really wasn't doing anything, but they spied on them and then arrested them because they wasn't doing anything, which means they probably were doing something. The point is that I don't think I can remember a news story about someone who's innocent. So, if you're not doing anything wrong, what's the difference? I'm confused.
Yeah, and that's in my article too. When you can start seeing that that's something that might happen, that means the government is 10 years ahead of what you're thinking. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Things kind of happen in cycles. They start, and then by the time they reach the public, sometimes they're 10, 15, 20 years old, depending.
Right.
I'm talking across the board. It could be government or pop music or whatever. So when these things start to occur to where you think, hey, this could, here's this scenario that I believe could happen because of this stuff, you're not that far from that scenario happening. Now, you say, has it happened? You haven't seen a news thing. I haven't either. Well, That doesn't mean it hasn't happened.
Right. Well,
if they've covered this up, they could cover up something like that.
Okay, I think
his mouth, that he's in a car wreck.
I think I agree with you in the sense that, maybe this sort of thing, the wiretapping and all this other stuff with the NSA stuff might be the gateway drug, like they say marijuana is the gateway drug to all the other drugs out there. And, they start getting happy on this and going, well, let's do more. I don't disagree with you, but the thing is that ultimately, is it about our freedom? I'm sorry, our safety in the whole matter? And are we actually stopping people from doing anything? When we come back on the show, I can't believe it's passed by this quickly, but we're going to a break. We're talking to Brian T Shirley, a comedian, a philosopher. At this point, we're not being funny with each other, but we will. But right now, I'm just getting kind of used to my style, and if I have any. So we'll be right back on the Will Roberts Weekly Telegram. Will Roberts Weekly Telegram. We'll be right back right after this break. Hey, folks, here's some great old public service announcements. I'm going to sprinkle them throughout the show. Enjoy.
Before taking our usual trip to the green room, let's discuss 3 ways we can all help lengthen the war. Here they are. First, throw away all your extra equipment. Second, don't take care of the equipment and ordnance you have left. Third, waste your field rations. Only eat the parts you like. Well, that's only 3 ways. But if each and every man and woman in the service indulged in just those 3 consistently, V-Day would be a far cry indeed. Of course, no one would act like that on purpose, but unfortunately, we all tend to treat GI materiel a little bit like a stepsister. And when you multiply your carelessness and wastage 1 million or more times, it's no longer funny. So let's not help lengthen the war. Let's shorten it by conserving everything we have.
I'm in the car next to you on the highway. I sit in front of you on the bus. I'm 1 out of every 6 Americans struggling with hunger. This isn't an uncontrollable epidemic. There's enough food in this country to feed every hungry person. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for those around you who are quietly struggling with hunger. Together we are Feeding America. Brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
This is Mountaineer coach Bill Stewart. Football is a sport that unites fans, players, and coaches alike in a spirit of competition and camaraderie. West Virginia has some of the best college football fans in the country. This football season, whether you're at a game or watching one with friends and family, if you choose to drink, please do it responsibly and never drink to excess. And if you're under 21, remember, drinking alcohol is against the law.
This message is brought to you by West Virginia's beer distributors and this station.
If you're a young worker, retirement probably seems like a lifetime away. In fact, you may wonder if your contributions to Social Security, deducted from your paycheck, actually cover you for anything right now. The answer? Yes, they do. By working in a job covered by Social Security, you're earning disability and survivor insurance protection, as well as retirement coverage. The time to learn about retirement and how much you may need to save for a comfortable one is now. Young workers, spring into action and learn more about your own retirement. A good way to start is by checking out the Retirement Estimator to get an instant, personalized estimate of your own future benefits. You'll find it at www.socialsecurity.gov/estimator. That web address again is www.socialsecurity.gov/estimator.
You may be hearing about people having trouble making mortgage payments and risking losing their homes. Many of them just aren't aware of the options that can prevent foreclosure. There are many options available to homeowners, such as repayment and forbearance plans, loan modifications, and even refinancing. Where does someone go for help? They should talk directly with their lender or a qualified HUD-approved counseling agency. Both can provide helpful information without charging a fee. According to PMI Mortgage Insurance Company, it's not a good idea to pay for services that you can get for free from a lender or a qualified nonprofit counseling agency. To learn more, visit homesafepmi.com or call HUD at 1-800-569-4287 for a counseling agency near you. That's 1-800-569-4287. This message is brought to you by PMI, supporting sustainable home ownership that strengthens communities.
All right, Will Roberts Weekly Telegram, willsays.com. We're back from the break with our friend who will be hanging out with us regardless of whether or not he wants to or not. Brian T. Shirley, the comedian, philosopher. His site is briantshirley.webs.com. Brian, let's just close up this NSA thing because I think we agree, not really to disagree, but agree that they're going to do it regardless.
I hope not, but you're right.
Yeah, they are.
The whole snafu of this whole situation is we allow them to do it, they'll take it as far as they want.
Yeah.
But you want me to let them know more about me.
Yeah.
Just not the ranting part. But I do go out and go on the road, and I make people laugh, and you know what? Well, I get paid for it. Isn't that cool? That is very cool.
Yeah, but wait a second. I have to tell you, you're a comedian and I'm a humorist. And by the way, our contracts basically say you have to be funny. I don't. I just have to make people go, oh, yeah, I get it. Anyway,
right.
Go ahead.
Your people can just hum, and you still get paid. If my people sit there and hum.
My people don't even have to hum. They just have to think, I hope. All right, let's tell us a little bit about Brian T. Shirley. I know you're a stand-up comedian. You've been doing this for 100 years. You can go to YouTube and see a whole bunch of stuff on Brian. Most of it he put on himself.
Yeah, and you can tell. I'm getting a new camera, by the way. I'm so happy about that. Next week,
Good.
I've got shows going on all through the summer. I've got some big shows in Atlanta I'm excited about doing, Savannah and Atlanta. I'm also bringing my books with me that I wrote, the People Love Not Warts and the 4 Store and 7 Years Ago. Those will be coming with me because they're the books that you put in your bathroom or on your coffee table, whichever, and read, and it helps you with your digestive process.
Or underneath your bird cage, where the birds are.
Well, I hope they looked at it first. Then the third book, The Funny Thing Happened on the Way to the Club, actually going towards you with that. I'm doing some storytelling. I'm putting those stories from that book in the show now, and they're really working very well, Will, and kind of changed my style up, not the whole show, but at least half of it now. I am a storyteller, maybe even a humorist, if you will.
Wow.
But I punch it up. I punch them up so that they still have the laughter in there. And it's different than stand-up. It really is. I'm learning that. But it's nice to be able to do that.
Right.
And then I also have the radio show that I'm doing. But go ahead.
No, tell us about that. Where can we hear your radio show, Brian T. Shirley radio show?
It's it's the BTS radio show. That's my initials. And it's on KineticHiFi.com. I'm actually on 2 different networks, KineticHiFi.com and BadTomato.fm. The guy's Italian that owns it, and I can't pronounce his last name. No one else can, so he just calls it Bad Tomato.
That's good. That's good. All right, so I know that show is kind of cool. I think I'm supposed to be on there at some point. I'm not sure, or hint, hint. But anyway, yeah, it's...
now, that's a no politics zone there. Well, I will have you on, but that is absolutely no politics. So, folks, if you like escapism, you can listen to Will. You can get the politics side of everything here, and then when you're stressed and you want to relax and just have release and escape, then you can come to the BTS radio show. So we can cover everything.
Yeah,
you will.
Yeah, but I'm not going to come on your show and talk about politics. I talk about common sense, which my people know isn't common anymore.
Exactly.
All right, hey, listen, folks.
You'll see the different side of Will Roberts on the BTS radio.
There it is. Hey, Will Roberts Weekly Telegram. We'll be back in a moment. Thanks, Brian. We'll see you every week, whether you like it or not. We'll see you soon.
Thank you, Will.
All right, okay, so now the segment of the show where we like to educate you and give you the information that you need as a citizen of this country. And if you're listening outside of this country, this is the information you want to know about how we run our country. But there's a cool thing called PopVox. That's POPVOX.com. And Rachna Chowdhury on the Hill giving us the information about the bills on the Hill this week in the roundup, the weekly roundup. Rachna, what's happening on the Hill other than the weather?
Well, I can tell you the weather first.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
It's been raining one moment, sunny the next, and you never know what you're going to get. And I guess that's a lot like Congress.
Yeah, it's definitely apropos. 2 weeks ago or a week ago, I was talking to you, and we were talking about sinkholes, which totally would be appropriate for now. And then now you're talking about funky and Cumberland weather. So what's going on the Hill? Like I should wonder what the story is. I think it's out, leaking everywhere. What is it, though?
Well, the top issue, once again, has been immigration reform. And the Senate is considering that bill, comprehensive immigration reform. This is that bipartisan bill we've been talking about. Finally on the Senate floor, but this is just the beginning of weeks and weeks of discussion and conversation about immigration. And this could go on till the August recess. So we'll just have to wait and see.
I just think it's difficult when you think about it in a common sense term. I think it's difficult to get anything at all agreed upon in any parts of our lives when you put that much scrutiny over it. It's really difficult when you think about it. I saw something yesterday on the news somewhere showing some of the immigrants and meeting at the fence, and they have an organization that helps folks meet up with their family members, like mothers that they've really haven't known or seen for years and years. And it's just really, I just sat there with my mouth open going, wow, I just can't believe that our country is all about the freedoms, but yet we can't get our families to get. Anyway, it's mind-boggling. So, all right, whatever. What's next?
Well, the other issue that everyone's been talking about is around basically the Fourth Amendment. Who can spy on who? What kind of protections do we have with civil liberties? And that's been kind of the theme in the last couple of weeks. And there's two bills that have been on the minds of PopVox users regarding the Fourth Amendment. And I don't know, Will, how well versed you are on the Constitution or the Bill of Rights, but the Fourth Amendment guards against unreasonable searches and seizures, not seizures, and requires, got confused, but requires, warrants and probable cause and things of that nature.
Yeah, I do know that one, yeah.
Oh, well, I'm impressed. So basically there's a bill that was introduced that would stop the NSA from spying on citizens.
Right. And that basically is, they're just trying to figure a way, which is kind of funny because it's like, this is something we've been talking about all day, just so you know, the whole NSA, and again, I say nobody's safe anymore, but, the whole NSA thing, and it's like, to me, it's kind of one of those moments like I could have had a V8, but you're really saying, are you kidding me? You didn't know this was happening? But it just kind of baffles me. I'm wondering in this new bill if they can put in their reality TV shows as well. Yeah, because isn't that what they're doing? Come on, I've been talking about this the whole show.
Well, I think it's all about consent, and it's shocking. Like if I sign up for a reality TV show, I expect that there will be cameras and recordings of me everywhere. But I didn't know what the NSA's role is, and I think most people don't.
Yeah.
So this has been really interesting. But then also it's led to a conversation on PopVox about the Constitution itself, and is it the role of Congress to create law that essentially does what the Constitution is supposed to do? So it's very interesting. It's worth going and reading some of the comments that people are writing to their members of Congress about this issue. And the bill number is F1121, and that's the Fourth Amendment Restoration Act.
And you can go to PopVox, that's POPVOX.com, and you can see it. Hey, Roshan, I appreciate you seeing us and talking to us this week. We will see you next week.
Great. Thank you.
I'm in the car next to you on the highway. I sit in front of you on the bus. I'm 1 out of every 6 Americans struggling with hunger. This isn't an uncontrollable epidemic. There's enough food in this country to feed every hungry person. Please visit feedingamerica.org today and find your local food bank. Every dollar you donate helps provide 7 meals for those around you who are quietly struggling with hunger. Together we are Feeding America, brought to you by Feeding America and the Ad Council.
Ladies and gentlemen, the chief hope of our enemies is to divide the United States along racial and religious lines and thereby conquer us. Let's not spread prejudice. A divided America is a weak America. Through our behavior, we encourage the respect of our children and make them better neighbors to all races and religions. Remind them that being good neighbors has helped make our country great and kept her free. Thank you.
My name is Joe Thompson. I'm 29 years old and have a career that I love as a systems analyst. Career. It still sounds cool to say that word. I never could have gotten on this path without a college degree. And if the college me were here, he'd tell you.
I never would have gotten to college without Big Brothers Big Sisters. I could have ended up anywhere, on the streets even. But college? Joe Thompson? Not likely. My big brother helped me out. He taught me I could do anything, at a time when a lot of people were saying just the opposite.
And to a 7-year-old, that means a lot. My big brother's name is Phil. And Phil is the reason that this 7-year-old grows up to be a systems analyst.
Whether you donate money or time, you're helping Big Brothers Big Sisters help a child. And that can last a lifetime. Start something today at bigbrothersbigsisters.org. Brought to you by Big Brothers Big Sisters and the Ad Council.
Have you ever asked a naturalized American how he or she feels about the business of voting? If you have, it's probably given you a whole new slant on the matter. To those men and women who were born in other countries, the right to vote is a precious privilege, and they line up before the voting booth on Election Day with the same high sense of pride and responsibility that one might feel upon being awarded some rare degree. Actually, the right to vote should give us all the same heady thrill. It is we, you and I, who determine the course of our country and the conditions of our own lives with those votes we cast on Election Day. Just one reminder, make sure your opinions will be counted. Make sure you cast your vote by being very sure to register. Registration days differ in varying localities. Check on the time in your community and get your name on the rolls. Then take advantage of all of America's media of communication for informing yourself on the issues involved. And then when Election Day comes, go to the polls with pride and responsibility and vote.
Breast health awareness is critical for all women, particularly African Americans, because we have an increased risk of dying from breast cancer compared to women of other backgrounds. At U of M, I'm doing research here and with women in Ghana to look for an inherited link that makes African and African American women susceptible to a more aggressive type of cancer. Finding this link, I believe, will make new treatments possible. But right now, making sure that you are properly screened is our best protection.
With experts like Dr. Lisa Newman, the University of Michigan Health System is a leader in cancer care. When you call our free Cancer Answer line at 800-865-1125, an oncology nurse will answer any questions you might have about the prevention, screening, and treatment of breast cancer and other forms of cancer. All calls are confidential. Call 800-865-1125 or visit ufmhealth.org/canceranswerline.
We're working to help everyone enjoy longer, healthier lives.
That's the Michigan difference.
All right, well, Robert's Weekly Telegram, we are back from our break. I had a chance to take a break after the break, and oh my gosh. Things are breaking in our country, and that's why I'm bringing on this next person that I love bringing on every week, because he gives me a chance to relax, because most of the time he's got his motor going faster than I do. He's our roving radical. Music, please. It's foreign to me. That's right. It's foreign to me. He is our roving radical. Johnny, what's happening out there in the world of, well, I don't know. Is it a secret or what's happening out there? Tell me.
Well, it's foreign to me how entertainment like we do here at Will's Weekly Telegram can somehow be misconstrued as news. So I just want to make it perfectly clear about our content here. Any resemblance to any real person or event that are mentioned here is purely coincidental, okay? This is entertainment we are doing. And the opinions expressed here are not necessarily those of anybody's, even our own. Basically, we're just making this stuff up.
Wait.
And if it seems as though we mentioned facts or statistics or events or opinions, we're just getting lucky.
Yeah, I think what you're trying to do is you're trying to divert the NSA away from recording our show. And which, by the way, our last guest, I told our last guest, just so you know, that I slipped up on his name. I said, don't worry about that. My show is available on Will Says, and you can see all the shows and stations it's syndicated on. Oh, and by the way, I added NSA because I felt since they're, tapping me.
That's right. Well, with that said, okay, with all that said, I'd just like to say, what the hell is going on with the NSA and our security network here in the Incorporated States of America? I am shocked that everybody is so up in arms about it. Oh. They are spying on us. They have always been spying on us, gathering warehouses of data on our phone calls, internet use, the debit cards we swipe, our license plate photos everywhere you drive, the photos of us in stores and on streets and off your devices. You remember a couple of weeks ago I was talking about face print recognition technology, right? Yeah. Hello, is everybody else keeping up?
Yeah. You know what? You're funny when saying this because I have to tell you something. Thank you. My gosh, thank you, because I didn't read your article before I came on. I always know it's going to be entertaining, informative, and funny. But I just got done. No, I have to be honest with you. The statistics are showing, wherever they came from, that most people in the United States are thinking, well, you know what? If you need to do that to make us safe, then do it. But I happen to be speaking to all the other people, and the last person on, my conservative for the show, Brian T Shirley, he was just saying how totally against it he was, and that is this. I brought up this point, Johnny, and that is that, you know what, in our world of reality shows where we're taping everything under the blankets and the sheets and in our back pocket and up whatever, why are we surprised? Is it because we pay people to do those reality shows, to spy on your wife, mother, brother, dog, to see if they're cheating on you? Isn't that the same thing?
Yeah, well, it's a wonder we are still asked for our ID at all, anywhere we go. Any government facility or company worth its weight in nickel knows who you are before you even contact them. You put all this together and reread 1984. George Orwell is rolling in his grave right now. And if you think that what the government could do with this information is scary, then think about what companies can do with it. And they have even less regulation in this arena than the government. You already sold your liberty and privacy for a whopping pant-filled load of comfort and convenience.
Right, and that's the thing is that you're making a very good point. That's another part of it is that if folks, you don't think that the corporate America is making sure that they know exactly every habit you do by what you shop online and what you do and putting you into categories of demographics, then hello, and then they spend their money pushing you that way. This is nothing new. I just say, what's the difference between that and reality TV? And I say the difference is maybe it's going to protect us a little bit. It's going to happen anyway.
Right. And I know they have a tag on all my stuff because all the time I spent overseas in the Middle East entertaining folks in Lebanon, right? All the emails I have with folks over there, all the contacts, how long I've been over there, I'm screwed.
Yeah,
the NSA is
you
going
are.
to be pulling me in for questioning any day, and I can hear them now. Why are you in such close communication with people in Lebanon? And what's with all the porn on your computer? It's coming. It's scary stuff, Will.
Yeah, well, thank you very much for, I think we were fine under the radar in our segment and our show so far, but thank you for mentioning porn. Now we're done. We're done.
Well, just the fact that Congress has been briefed on all these snooping programs for the last 7 or more years, right? And we've never had a conversation about if we want them doing this in our country. I mean, company, whatever you call this.
Yeah.
Darth Cheney and President Cokehead Bush set this
up without any judicial oversight years and decades ago, which was completely illegal, okay? And now some senator said he wants to look at it and has a lot of questions for the government. He is the government.
Yeah.
What's he talking about?
Well,
people are clueless. They're fighting over the stupidest stuff.
Yeah, but listen, the problem is that the government, our politicians said that a lot of them said they had no idea what they were actually doing with this, and so basically the statement is that I'm saying is that it sounds like our politicians are not educated. Dope. Okay, there's a surprise.
Clueless.
Yeah.
I for one have always known this was the case, and can't believe there's such outrage over it now. Where were all these people during Reagan?
Yeah.
Now, on the other hand, Will, this could all be a very well thought out plot,
Bingo.
right? Because the terrorists, they hate us for our freedoms. Ergo, the less freedom we have, the less they'll hate us, right?
That's right. Yeah, so you're right.
The real news here is that 8 years, 3 psychiatrists, and 1 neurologist later, they were all wrong and a complete waste of my money. I'm not paranoid.
No, you're not paranoid. I actually used to think you were, but as you started getting on the show, I'm considering you. Well, actually, you said George Orwell, and I thought to myself, well, he would be the modern-day Nosferatu. That's the vampire. Who's the one that made the predictions? What the heck? What's the guy who made the? What's the prediction? Who is it?
That guy, the Peter guy.
Yeah, I hope when I die 300 years later, people remember my name. But it's not Nosferatu, folks. Please email us, Will Roberts USA, whatever. What the hell? Anyway, but you know what? I was actually wondering. I started noticing something on my body recently, and I was like, oh my gosh, what is this? Skin tags. I think they're from the NSA.
Okay, it's small, but she still cares about you.
What? Who? Hotshot, you're not supposed to talk to the actual NSA personally in the background. You're supposed to. You're on a radio show. I don't know what the heck that was, dude, but thank you for coming back. And maybe that metal plate will play in with the show at some point. Anyway, I was saying to you is that I started seeing these little things all over my body, and they're called skin tags. I think maybe it's an NSA thing. Maybe they're just little bugging devices. All right. Anyway, well, Hotshot.
Okay, we got to finish up.
Well, I got 10 seconds, so finish quickly.
All right, we'll get to the other big question for next week is that's on everybody's tongues, which is how did Republicans become Republicans?
Okay, listen, hotshotperformer.com. We're going to catch you next week. He's ranting on and raving on. Hotshotperformer.com. Johnny. All right, brother, we'll talk to you soon.
My Kickstarter thing. Go on Twitter, on Kickstarter, and search Hotshot. I need help with this. So everybody, go to Kickstarter and search Hotshot. My show will come up. I'm doing a tour. Help me out with this, people. I need your help.
Will Roberts Weekly Telegram at willsays.com. We'll see you soon. Talk to you soon, Hotshot. Johnny, bye-bye. Get out of here.
Hello, and welcome to the Fowler Nation Newscast. I'm Richard Fowler. Today I want to talk to you about an urgent problem facing our country. In just a couple weeks from now, on July 1st, the interest rate for federally backed student loans will double from 3.4% to 6.8%, meaning that students' interest rates will double when they're trying to achieve the American dream. We have seen nothing from our Congress to answer these things. Actually, what we've seen something to the demise of the student. Republicans recently released a bill that would basically peg student loan interest rates to the market and make the cap go up to 8%. And I say to them, what is next? What do you want to do to the students now? You've taken away our grants. You want to cut Pell Grants. You want to get rid of the Department of Education. Now you're going to get rid of student loans. When will the American dream truly be realized? Well, if the Republicans have their way, the answer to that is never. I think the answer is this. Pursue the American dream at your own demise and your own risk. And if you fall off a cliff, oh well, too bad, you're dead. Good luck. Or good riddance. And that is not how we should treat our young people, America. Our young people deserve everything they need to reach the top and to be the best that they can be. Because when they are the best that they can be, this country is the best that it can be. That is why every other country, every other developed country, even those that are developing, invest so much in education. If you look at China's education spending, if you look at Japan's education spending, or if you look at Europe's education spending, they're all increasing spending. While here at the United States, you will find every way to destroy middle class and working class students trying to achieve the American dream. We deserve better and we need better. Check out our YouTube channel, www.youtube.com/Fowler Show.
Hey folks, Will Roberts here. This is actually a commercial break you're in right now, but this is not a commercial because I don't really do commercials. This is more like a plea for folks to be civil. Now, the next spot you're going to hear is from a guy named Rocky D out of South Carolina. He's a radio host. He's a conservative radio host. See, because I like to let folks know that I want to hear all sides, not just one side. So if you want to complain to me, by all means, send me an email. But you're going to be sending me an email saying you've heard both sides.
What do you say we take a little mosey through the amber ways of grain? My fellow Americans, what's more American than the NSA? Nasty, sneaking, you-know-what holes. President Fraud Obama is getting smacked from all sides about the NSA and the IRS snooping. Yeah, they've got your phone records, medical stuff, emails, text, tweets, Facebook posts, you name it. Looks like Obama started out being the first black president and ended up being my crazy ex-girlfriend. Sounds like, yeah. Then Obama goes and hangs out with Chinese President Xi Jinping. And what do they talk about? Hacking. See? And you thought all of Obama's mentors were black. See? Not true. Even the blind Obama people are upset because Obama tried to spin it out by saying this. Well, I promised complete transparency and, well, I meant x-rays. Speaking of liars and damn liars, cyber geek spy twerp Edward Snowden is holed up in Hong Kong. He never did leave. He's beginning to look more and more like John Lovitz on Saturday Night Live. Yeah, I'm a patriot. I did it for you. That's right. Yeah, that's the ticket. Yeah. Negotiations between Hong Kong and the United States are somewhat delicate. It's a self-ruling British colony, you know, but it's owned by China. Oh, and so is Hong Kong. Speaking of past, the New England Patriots signed Tim Tebow as backup quarterback. He's in trouble now. That's right, he's wealthy, he's white, he's Christian, he's a male conservative, and he'll be wearing a Patriots logo. His tax return is going to make the IRS office light up like bells and whistles like the showcase on The Price is Right. Speaking of stand-up guys, Anthony Tweetmaster Weiner is actually leading in some New York mayor polls. The voters seem to accept his amends. He apologized to his wife for sleeping around. He apologized to the nation for lying about it. And then he had to apologize to former President Bill Clinton for copyright infringement. And Ringo Starr is making a children's book based on the Octopus Garden tune. He's hoping for better results than from his other children's book, You're 16, You're Beautiful and Mine, and got him on the sex offenders list. Grandparents can tell the little tots that they used to listen to the Beatles sing Octopus Song on the record player. Then they can explain who this old geezer Ringo is, who the Beatles were, and what a record player is. Sadly.
At this moment, throughout the country, millions of motorists are beginning to wend their way home along crowded highways from a long Independence Day weekend. It is at times such as these when accidents happen more frequently, when death and driving draw closer together. You can help to decrease the accident and death rate on our nation's highways. Excessive speed for driving conditions is a major cause of many motor accidents. Control your speed at all times to keep within the safe speed, not just the legal limit. America's professional truck drivers are taught to drive ahead of themselves and to avoid accidents by seeing them threaten before they can happen. They know that careful driving keeps them from having accidents which may take lives. Speed is the #1 killer on the highways. So drive carefully today on your way home from an enjoyable weekend, and tomorrow wherever you go in your car. Exercise caution, courtesy, and the golden rule, for the life you save may be your own.
All right, Will Roberts Weekly Telegram. Will Roberts Weekly Telegram is located at Will Says, that's WILLSAYS.com. Or Twitter, Will Roberts USA. All right, now that segment of the show, the part where you can put your goggles on and see a little farther every day when you look at this and listen to this segment. I say look at this because it's Armand Thomas and Picture This. And Picture This gives us this whole little sort of depth to our radio. It's visual radio. Armand Thomas and Picture This.
Picture this. Chatting up corners of the world.
All right, Armand Thomas and Picture This. Hey, what's up, buddy? I know the subject, but wait. What's the subject for today?
Yeah, you're a funny guy, Will. You like to laugh?
I do.
Well, I thought let's not go to a specific place. Let's talk photography today, and let's talk a certain aspect of photography.
And that
is
yeah.
what I like to call snapping the funny.
Snapping the funny. Does that mean like weird parts of people's bodies or something?
Could be, if that's funny.
What is it? You mean just like humorous pictures?
Well, you know, it's one of the different flavors of photography. Just like in movies, photography could be action-filled, it can be romantic, it can be sports, it can be drama, and it can also be funny.
It can.
And I'm not sure a lot of people go out with the intention of shooting comedy or funny pictures. But living in this ridiculous world of ours, we're surrounded with opportunities that make us chuckle, tickle our fancy.
Yeah, that's true. And wait, I want to say something. This is my favorite word that I used with you all the time, or you gave it to me, and it came into my life, and that's juxtaposition. And I guess you could say that juxtaposition, because I'm now looking at the pictures on ArmandThomas.com. Go to ArmandThomas.com, and you can see the pictures that are there. Also, they're on WillSays.com and our glossy little newsletter that we do every week. But I'm seeing the juxtaposition of a lot of these things. So do you mind if we go down the row and just kind of talk to you about each one?
Please, let's.
Tell me where they're at. First one is a picture of a guy looking at bird cages in a rather small chair.
Large guy, small stool.
Wow.
Sitting in front of a series of birds. This is in Singapore, and Singapore traditionally is a nation that loves its bird singing on a Sunday morning, whether it be in a park or in a back alley, like in this case. And they bring their birds. So all the birds, it's almost like an outing for the birds. They hang the bird cages side by side, and it's I was going to say a cacophony. I should probably say more like a symphony of bird singing. And what's funny about this one? Well, you know, not that I want to make fun of the size of the gentleman, but there he is sitting and having a wonderful morning, listening to his birds. But it's just humorous. It's a vision of Singapore that's probably not going to be met if you happen to be living in Peoria.
I have been to Singapore, and I did not see that. But I have to tell you something, though. Looking at this and saying what you said about it, it almost reminds me of, or possibly reminds me of, maybe putting two betta fish together, the tanks. That's why they freak out and chew on their own fins. Maybe the birds are really mad at each other because you put them next to each other and they don't like the ones, and that's why they're squawking.
Hey, Sunday competition takes on many forms.
All right, next picture we're looking at is a gentleman. Looks like he's doing some window washing, and below.
What's important to note is that when you do travel photography, what we find humorous, what we find unusual is very common. And it's a way of indicating the different cultures. Just like we talked a few weeks ago about food, taking pictures of food in different countries reflects the nation itself. So does this image here. Japan being cordial and very respectful. You'll see that window washers, if they happen to be washing windows over an entrance, and in this case a post office, you're not going to drip anything on anybody walking into the post office. There's his assistant down below holding an umbrella, making sure that the people enter with civility.
I actually thought it was just because I'd been to Japan too several times, and I just thought that they do everything, go out of their way to make sure that you're taken care of.
Exactly. And I think this picture illustrates to what extent they go to. An umbrella at the entrance of a post office so as the window washer doesn't happen to drip on you as you enter.
Okay, I'm going to move on to the next one, which is a VW bug facing a Formula One car that is painted. This is very funny.
Well, I think I remember this was in Northern California, and it was just funny. I was looking at a mural of a Formula One race car drawn on a mural, and facing nose to nose with an old bug, Volkswagen Beetle. And just then it happened to be the owner of the Beetle that walked into his car and started backing up. So it almost looked like as if there was a face-off between the real and the fantasy, the fast and the slow. It's a picture that says many things.
I love that. Okay, again, remember ArmandThomas.com or WillSays.com. You can see these pictures on this week's post. The next one is a picture of a really hot woman on standing by a sign, and the woman on. No, I'm kidding. Anyway, vice versa. That's funny.
Well, it's touchy. It's touchy when you walk a thin line between ridiculing and illustrating. And in this case, of course, a fashion model bikini on a bus poster, and unfortunately, a woman who perhaps does not look as much as the model leaning up against the bus shelter.
Yeah.
And the colors match, and the contrast is juxtaposition at its best.
Yeah, and I have to say that, though, the woman leaning up there definitely has as much of the attitude as the woman in the picture. All right, moving on. The last one's very interesting, very machismo, I think I want to say, and the gentleman sitting there and with the cartoon picture next to him that's been tagged for the thing. Yeah.
Yeah, again, it's coincidence, and the point I want to make today is that the nothing here is set, nothing is staged. When you're walking around in different cities in the world, you just have to have your radar on. And so what I noticed first, of course, was the mural, a very stylized sunglasses face of a cartoon character, and sitting right there in a green chair was a gentleman that seemed to be the model for that image. And of course he wasn't, and it was a way for me to stop by and say hello to him and tell him how wonderful the image was of him sitting there next to somebody that seemed to look like him. And suppose you see the smile he has was genuine, because I made a connection with him. I didn't just stop and shoot without first having a polite and very whimsical conversation with him.
Right. All right, ArmandThomas.com, and this is Picture This, Will Roberts' Weekly Telegram. Thanks for bringing us a little joy, happiness, and getting us away from all this little NSA stuff this week. We'll talk to you next week, Armand, on Picture This. See you soon, buddy. Well, that's the show this week, and boy, has it made me weak, along with the rest of us Americans. Now trying to watch not only to our right and our left to see if politicians are coming after us, but now we kind of have to swing around both ways to make sure our back is covered. And in the meantime, we feel like maybe we might get kicked in the front. This whole NSA thing is really kind of spun out of control. Now, maybe I'm not being American enough on this subject. The whole subject about the government looking through everything and anything that we have. Because if I'm not mistaken, in the last elections, certain groups wanted to tell women what they could do and what they couldn't do with their bodies. Certain groups wanted to tell us that, we can have our freedoms as long as we pay for the right candidate in the office. Now, I have to say that it's all about freedoms and privacy. We all know that. But there's an interesting thing happening here. I kind of find this whole parallel with the, the reality TV shows. We'll let them in anywhere we want, and, for the right price, and the fame. But I don't know. Isn't this already been happening for the longest time? So the next time you look right or you look left and you want to blame either the left or the right, just remember someone really pretty much down the middle or around the back has been doing this for some time. Is it right? No, I don't know. And the question is, will I never know? Or you ever know? Because the bottom line is that, we just don't know anything about these politicians. That's why we don't trust them. See you next week. You're listening to the American Telegram Radio Network, located at international.to. For news and information, it's international.to.
Veritech is a publicly traded company that has created the first biotech social network. Founded by Dr. Kevin Buckman, the company has built a unique platform that will allow biotech research to become open-sourced for the first time in history. Viratech is also co-developing a breath testing device that plugs into a cell phone for data transmission. The technology was originally designed by NASA, and Viratech is working on adapting the device to detect infectious diseases and cancer. Viratech's social network for cancer patients, www.cancer.im, provides a central location where those affected by the disease can seek alternative treatments, organize their records, and find support. Viratech is publicly held, meaning anyone can become a shareholder of the company. More information about Viratech is available via Yahoo Finance. Just type in the ticker symbol VIRA.